YouTube. Okay, so it was Sharice White said, I'm aware that narcs aren't really happy and their new supply is in for an emotional whirlwind. Absolutely. But the narc has started a new family and is having kids. Meanwhile, I'm just alone. When does this pass? Well, you got to remember, it also depends on how long you've been in a relationship with the narcissist. And so if you've been in a long-term relationship, hey, just be real. Hold on, Miss Sharice. Well, hey, just be real. There you go, Telsha. There goes your partner in crime. I apologize, you guys. I think it was just I had to turn off the Wi-Fi, and so I had to restart my whole telephone and everything. So my apologies, please. I did erase the last video because it was giving me problems, and so I didn't say a whole lot. Hey, Miss Bridget, I didn't say a whole lot, but I was getting ready to get into the questions. And so if you could be so kind, Telsha, and just be real, I'm going to start the 45 minutes. I'm going to start the 45 minutes up all over again, okay? So if you guys will give me 45 minutes because we were interrupted, I apologize. I don't know what happened, but now I can actually see the comments. So thank you so much for being patient with me. But Telsha, just be real. Give me 45 minutes, okay? Thank you so much. We're going to start the time over again. So I was just answering back again. Let's try this again. Let's see, where are we at? You guys there? Y'all don't know what's going on. I don't see any comments. I see nothing. All right. Let's see. There we go. Okay, now I can see you guys. Got it. I'm back. That's right. But we'll start all over again. 45 minutes. I'm back. All right. So 45 minutes. Start 45 minutes. Here we go. I'm back. Okay. Now I can see all the comments. All right. So I know, right? Boop, boop. All right. So let me answer this question. So start the 45-minute clock. Okay. So Sharice said, I'm aware that narcs are really happy, aren't really happy, and their new supply is in for an emotional whirlwind. But the narc has started a new family and is having kids. Meanwhile, I'm just alone. When does it pass? First of all, do understand this. Depending on how long the relationship was, not only how long the relationship was or how intense the abuse was and how trauma bonded you are to that individual, will determine the length of time, and we can't give it a number. It determines the length of time that you may go through your healing process or your grief and loss. Hey, Stephen Bananas, your grief and loss process. And on top of that, for them to leave the relationship and just start a whole nother family with someone else, of course, that's very, very, hey, honey, that's very, very painful. It's like a slap in your face. And that's the whole point. They want positive or they want negative fuel. It doesn't matter to them. Whatever kind of emotion they can evoke out of you, whatever kind of reaction they can get out of you is what they will do in order to to hurt you. And so, yes, don't be afraid. My mentor made a video yesterday. If you guys follow her on Periscope. And one thing that she says, don't run from the pain. When the pain and the challenges come up, don't run from the pain and the challenges. Go in it, head first. And a lot of people don't want to, they don't want to embrace the fact that you're going to go through some pain leaving this person, getting away from this person. There is going to be pain attached to it, seeing them with another person. These are all the things that they're going to do to try to hurt you on purpose. And so, Sharice, I can't give you a timeline. No one can give you a timeline, but you'll notice every day is a new day. Every day is another day. And every day you have to remind yourself that this person is doing things on purpose to hurt you. Obviously, you know for a fact because they were with you that this new supply has no idea what they're in ready, because what comes around goes around. And if they didn't, they're not going to change. And what they did to you, you can guarantee is going to happen to that individual. Whatever way is going to happen with that individual, because that's a different individual than you are. And so, yes, it is going to be painful, but it takes time. You have to process through it, So, like I said, I can't give you a time frame. You know what I mean? But, this is a part of the process of healing, and it's the pain. It's the 7 stages of grief, the shock, the pain. I mean, that pain is horrible pain. Yes, they invoke as much pain as they possibly can. Jen said they would not get me back ever. Good girl. That's what I'm talking about. And let me look at you. And you're gorgeous. You are gorgeous. Yeah, don't. I mean, I know it doesn't matter when it comes to a narcissist, but don't go back. Does their paranoia stem from their own bad behavior, like projection? Well, you got to remember, each narcissist is unique individual. They have the same personality disorder and the same symptoms, but they're all, they all are a different person. It also depends on like what type of trauma they've been through, because the personality disorder is one thing, but depending on the type of trauma that they went through, they may be going through other mental health issues. They could be going through schizophrenia. They could be going through major depressive disorder, anxiety. They could be going through post-traumatic stress disorder. A lot of narcissists do have post-traumatic stress disorder. And so the paranoia is that you're going to leave. You're going to leave and find someone else. I got to discard you before you discard me, or you're going to expose me to make me look bad because I have created this image of myself that I don't want you to expose to everybody, because if you expose the real me in front of everybody, it makes me vulnerable. And so I have to make sure, tag you're it, that I have to make sure that I have to make you look bad first, so that if you say anything about me, that I've already talked about you and smear campaigns your name to make you look bad before you make me look bad. And that's a sad thing, it's like a child, I'm gonna talk about you before you talk about me. My daddy's bigger than your daddy. My mommy is stronger than your mommy. This is how they are. They have mentally, they're not, but they know how to blend in. They're like androids. They pick up on other people's emotion and they blend in. They blend in with society. Let's see. Okay, so this one. Okay, so this is a lot of comments. Miss Shelley said, do people in the church know anything on this disorder? My mentor does. And I know Bishop Arsley Blakes. I know he's talking about it as well. You have other pastors that are becoming very aware of this disorder, and they're starting to talk about it. There's awareness now coming to the church in reference to this type of abuse. So now, there are a lot of people, a lot of leaders within the church community that are not so quick to tell you to go back into the relationship, but to find safety, to find help, to use the resources that are available out there, like domestic violence, where there's shelters, so they're not that quick to send you back into, this type of trauma. So it is becoming, awareness the church is becoming aware of these type of individuals. Let's see. Hi, Oklahoma. Victoria Johnson said, I'm having trouble finding a therapist specialist in narc abuse. Any suggestions? Well, you have to remember, narcissistic abuse, it is domestic violence. Domestic violence, if you talk about the symptoms and not the title, when you tell them, do you understand about domestic violence? Do you understand about psychological abuse? Do you understand about the abuser having mental health issues themselves? Do you understand the severity of the abuse? Everything that we talk about in detail, just take what we talk about in detail, just ask them if they understand that. Later on, you can ask them if you understand what narcissist abuse is, because it's domestic violence. You're just being abused by an individual that has, or we suspect has, narcissistic personality disorder, meaning you can pick up, meaning you can pick up, they're truly toxic, meaning you can pick up on the behavior. We don't know necessarily whether they truly are narcissists, but if you if you have been abused by this individual and you have been doing, I do not do online counseling. I do online coaching, usually telephonic, but normally when you are looking for, so like I was saying, if you're looking for a specialist, you're not going to find someone that says I'm a narcissistic abuse specialist. You'll find people that are domestic violence specialists. You're looking for people that are trauma professionals. Those are the type of people that you're looking for, and then they'll get that additional education on their, you know, people being abused by this type of individual that has this type of disorder. Luba said, don't run from the pain. That's right. Face that. Love that. Yup. Yup. Hey, Nicole, how are you? It gets easier. I'm proof. Yes, ma'am. Miss Arlene is proof. Ashna, pretty name. Is it possible for a SG to not be an empath? What's the SG? You guys got to make me smart. Miss Jen says she was paranoid for everything, would hide her calendar and other personal items before friends would come over. She could have had other mental health problems. You know, she could have had other mental health problems. Feisty Taco said you should have a DV advocate counselor in your city. Absolutely. A lot of the DV advocates or domestic violence counselors understand the behavior, but they may not understand that it's by a person that has narcissism, but they understand the behavior. You can talk about the behavior. They understand the behavior. Let's see. Okay, let me go over here and look at some. Hey, Miss Katricia. I do have a domestic, is it a DM advocate? Domestic violence advocate? Oh, DV advocate. Okay. So it all is a part of abuse, and they haven't given their own medical name, right? It is domestic violence. And the name for a person that has the disorder is called an individual that has narcissistic personality disorder. It just so happened that that individual that has a personality disorder is the person that is contributing to your domestic violence. They are doing domestic violence. Hey there, have a gun, will travel. Mr. Mark said, hi, Dr. Brian. I finally got delivered from the narc. It was only through no contact. I've been no contact for 7 months now. Yes. Congratulations to you, sir. I am so proud of you. I know it was a struggle. You know, I used to look at the conversation between you and my mentor, and you know, I was thinking about it, and so I'm glad you stuck in there, you hung in there. But I told you, you know, just like she told you, just give it time, and you'll heal. But see, but look what it took. Look what it took. No contact has been the best thing I ever did. Took me a year to finally have peace and joy. I struggled, but it was all worth it. We have children together. I saw him a month ago, and I have no feelings. Excellent. Good job. Good job. All righty. So, internet is having issues over here again. So let's see here. Let's see what's going on over on Facebook. Let's check Facebook out. Make sure everything is okay. All right. All right. YouTube, you still there? All right, there we go. Okay, it was buffering. So you guys are back. Okay, YouTube is back. All right, Facebook is back. Here we go. All right, let's see. All the narcs on YouTube don't want their secrets to get out. I'm back. That's all right. We're going to keep going. Oh, Tracy, I'm sorry. Let me go back to your question. All right. Where you at? Okay, Tracy said, what is narcissistic rage? I was jumped on by my husband 4 months ago just because I was ignoring him because I didn't want to argue with him. Well, you actually were giving him the silent treatment. I did a video on narcissistic rage. You know, they don't have balance. They don't have emotional regulation. You know, so they're emotionally unregulated, and so they don't know how to regulate their emotions. You offend them or you cause a narcissistic injury, they snap like that. If the narcissistic injury is bad enough, they snap, you know, and that's that rage. They have no control over their emotions. You are the one that fuels them. You know, they blame you on their happiness or sadness. You know, it's like an insulin shot. You know, they have to get their their source of fuel from you to regulate them. And so if you do anything, yeah, impulse disorder. Absolutely. They have an impulse disorder. Absolutely. Impulse and emotional regulation disorder. And so if you hurt them enough by ignoring them like that, they fly into a rage. But I did do a video on narcissistic rage. Okay, let's see. Let me scroll down. Okay. All right. Yeah, they want reaction. What kinds of people repel narcs? An educated person. Yeah, yeah. Stevie Banana says silence is very loud to them. Absolutely. When you give them a silent treatment, or when you do 30 minutes, okay, when you do the no contact, it screams like the noise that they make to agitate you is loud to them. That silence is loud to them, and it bothers them. It hurts them because you're ignoring them. They can't get a reaction out of you, and so they'll lose all control. And then you'll see them fly into a rage. And a lot of times you'll see them fly into a rage, the ones that are on the lower end of the spectrum of narcissism, because they haven't learned to regulate themselves. You know, as you go further up into the narcissistic spectrum, they have a little more regulation because they know how to manipulate better. So it doesn't matter what you do, they'll outdo you. Their mindset is, I'm going to outdo you. Gentile Killer said, hello, Dr. Carmen. What or is there a difference between a narcissist and a megalomaniac? I have no idea what that is. The loss of control sends them into a tyrant. Yep. It's not pretty at all. Absolutely. No contact 3 months, but I've been hoovered again. Yep. Yep. There are uncontrolled little boys in men's bodies. Little girls too. Little girls too. Let's see. Esther Pandy Mortis said, you and R.C. Blakes are my favorite on this subject. Love how he references point out people in the Bible who were narcissists. Yup. Yes. You might, if you like Honorable Bishop R.C. Blakes, you may also like my mentor, Apostle Helen Sadler. She has a YouTube channel, and it is Helen Sadler, Destiny Helper. You'll also find her on Facebook under the same name, Apostle Helen or Apostle Helen Sadler. And you would really like her teachings as well. She gives narcissist abuse information, and she references the Bible. She gives it from a spiritual perspective. She gives it from a biblical perspective, and she gives encouragement from a biblical perspective. And she is the presiding prelate of Into His Chambers Global Ministry. She is my mentor, and she is also my pastor. You may really, really enjoy hearing her. Yeah, and she talks about it because I try to stay more toward the clinical side. You know, I use more of the experiential clinical side, and then I take it and I try to put it out there in layman terms. I try to, you know, add humor. I try to bring examples, give you different examples, and I try to give you example to make it more palatable, you know, to make it more common sense, you know, on our level of understanding, instead of using these big terminologies and, you know, stuff that I learned in the world of psychology. It wouldn't make sense to you, but I try to break it down and make it really easy for you. And then on the other hand, I partner with Apostle Sadler, Helen Sadler, Destiny Helper, and she breaks it down to you biblically, you know, what it means, and she brings encouragement from the standpoint. And some of you were asking about the church leaders, you know, she brings you the information from as a church leader, you know, just like Honorable Bishop R.C. Blakes. I think it's Bishop Blakes, right? Or is it Pastor Blakes? I'm not sure. But yes, have you ever dealt with a dying narcissist? I heard nothing changes with them even at this point. I did a video on the aging narcissist, but I'm not sure if I also mentioned about the dying narcissist. But you know, the sad part about and I just spoke to a young lady in reference to a dying narcissist. The sad part about it is that a lot of them will get to their deathbed, you know, and they want attention, and they want attention so much that even on their deathbed, they get the attention of people that would normally ignore them. And until the day they take their last breath, a lot of them will look at you like, I won, meaning I won because I got that person's attention. I got them away from you. And then in your logical mind, you're thinking like, but you're dying. So how did you win? And it's almost to a point where it's ridiculous, but you see how strong this personality disorder is. it makes no sense whatsoever. Till their dying breath, they still fight. They still want to manipulate. They still want to hurt. And then they hurt because they even make comments to people that love them that, when I'm dead, I'm going to be gone. Still looking for the reaction. Yes, it's a mental illness, and people really don't understand that this is a mental illness. This is a mental illness, because they look so normal, they look healthy, they look normal, they blend in with society, they have these awesome jobs. You find judges, pastors, you'll find lawyers, police officers, therapists, nurses, doctors, people on everyday, people that hold these big positions, and they look perfectly normal. But this is a mental illness, and the mental illness goes, unless they're, a lot of times we're around narcissists all day long. Sometimes you don't even know that you're around a narcissist, and some of them really are harmless. When I say harmless, there's nothing that you want from them, and they can manipulate, but it doesn't cause any damage. Then you have other ones that you have been involved with, and you have children with, that become dangerous to a point where they would literally hurt you. Like I said, there's some you work around, you're around, and they really don't bother you. Some of them are annoying, some of them get on your nerves, some of you know what it is, but then there are some that are not dangerous to you. They're not a threat to you, and you can tolerate them. But there are other ones, some of them that you have been involved with, that become dangerous to you and your children. But the sad part about it is that they blend in where nobody knows there's anything wrong with them, especially their kids. Their kids don't even know anything is wrong with them, and the kids are being wounded and hurt, but they know something is not right, but they don't know what is not right, because a child doesn't think the way that we think. So the child doesn't know that there's something actually wrong with their parent. And that's a sad thing to watch people or listen to people when they come in, when they come into my office to talk about how the child has been manipulated, because the child doesn't understand. Miss Colleen said that I'm reading The First Will Be Last by D.C. Robertson. It's a biblical perspective on narcissism. Okay, The First Will Be Last. Okay. How can you get your children to believe that you're being abused when he's so nice? I mean, how old are your children? How old are your children? Hey, makeup with Linnell. I saw some of your makeup. It is gorgeous. You do an excellent job. You do beautiful work. Beautiful work. Maybe one day when I travel, you can do my makeup for me. So the child learn their behaviors. Some of them that don't actually get the disorder, a lot of times you yourself pick up on their behavior and begin to mirror that narcissist, because it seemed to work for them. So you fight back with their behavior. Sometimes you do pick up narcissistic fleas. You come out the relationship and you start thinking and acting like them because that's all you've seen. Likewise for the child. The child, and you have to remember that when your child is going through puberty and they're going through the adolescent ages, most of them do have narcissistic traits. So it looks very narcissistic. But by the time they're 18 and 19 years old, you'll know that personality has set in. You can normally tell with a child as they're growing up, though, as a parent. You have to think it's different for a therapist. When we're looking at the child, we may see certain things, but we're not with them all the time. And so, but between is just regular teenage behavior versus these are some narcissistic traits that I'm going to have to pay attention to, But by the time they're 18, 19 years old, that personality disorder has set in and it has become permanent. Summers Ministry in Ohio does coaching for narcissist abuse. Robert Summers wrote books on deliverance from biblical perspective. Okay, please do not promote pages on here without talking to me. So don't go promote other pages on here. Number one, remember, I'm dealing with a lot of people that have entrusted me with information, so I don't know where you're sending the people. Now, you go out there and you do research and you find something, but do not promote other pages and other people on here, because of the fact that, when people have entrusted me with information, give me the information first. Don't promote yourself or other people on here. If you want to talk about some books, that's fine. You talk about some books, but do not promote coaching. Remember, I'm still a fee for service provider. And so, when I use these channels, I use the channel to promote my own services. But please do not come on my channel and start promoting other people's services and sending people anywhere else. Yeah, thank you. Stevie Banana says start your own channel. Yeah, don't do that. Don't go on to other people's pages and promote other people in coaching and stuff, because I do provide services. And so when you're sending people off my page, whatever you do when you get off my page, I don't have a problem with that. No problem at all. But I'm still a fee for service provider. And when I do these videos, I also do these videos to win the trust of people, that want to use my services. So please do not do that. Contact me first before you do that. Yeah, that's rude. Don't do that. Don't promote other people on here. If you want to share books, perfectly fine. Hey, read this book. I read this book, no problem. I even talk about, thank you. I even talk about the fact that, that I listen to, there are other coaches that are on the channels. Yes, you have Quinn Holiday, you have Helen Sadler, which is my mentor, Destiny Helper. You have Angie Atkinson, you have Dr. Ramani, you have Dr. Les Carter, you have, who else? Sarah Speaks. You have a lot of people that I have watched over, within the year and a half myself. And so I don't mind, but don't promote somebody else's coaching services on my site. That is rude. That is disrespectful, because I use these channels to promote my own business as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's all we have to say about that there. Let's see. Did I miss something? Okay, let's look. What was I? So let me look through the... Okay. My dad was a narc and my uneducated siblings can't see it. That's a shame. Uniquely my day. Dr. Carmen, do you think narcs abuse more when victims are older than them? I dealt with a narc for 12 years and was abused more than any other supply. Well, to them is opportunity. You can have people that are younger, you can have people that are older. To them is a matter of opportunity. Just like I say that, it doesn't matter, and we talk about the LBGT community, narcissist abuse. Hey, New Dawn arises, but narcissist abuse is narcissist abuse. It doesn't matter whether you're gay, lesbian, whatever, heterosexual, black, white, from Africa, from Brazil. If you notice, many people on here from different countries, from different lifestyles, from different, just like the LBG, all of us can sit here and say we all have similarities. The type of people that we have gotten contact with, the type of people that you have been in a relationship with, so it doesn't matter. But they don't care whether you're old, whether you're young, whether you're pretty, whether you're ugly. And a lot of them, and it's like I say all the time, be careful, because a lot of them will cross over from heterosexual to the LGBTQ community, and then will make you sound like you're crazy and say that they're heterosexual. A lot of them are bisexual, and if you call them out, they will make you seem like you're crazy, and they'll argue that they're heterosexual, or vice versa. A lot of them may be within the LBGT community, and then they have a heterosexual relationship, and then when that heterosexual individual says something, they'll make them seem like they're crazy. So they don't care. It's a matter of opportunity for them. So whether it's young, old, it doesn't matter. It's a matter of opportunity. What is the best fuel I can get? Narc got the final word when he passed away. No, Irma, you got the final word. You're free. You got the final word. You won. Bonnie said, narc family are using my grown kids as flying monkeys. What do I do about it? Well, are your kids abusing you? Sad part about it is, if your children are abusing you, you still have to set up boundaries. I don't care, a lot of us do have children, but if your children are abusing you, you have to set up boundaries. You have to make some decision. That's a hard thing to do when you are a mother that has given birth to your children. But if your children are abusing you, you have to set up some boundaries. You have to put limitations up there. I'm limiting you access to me, because I believe in my safety. I believe in my mental stability and my mental health. And so you have to make sure that you put up boundaries to protect yourself. Didiana, do they try and play on the subconscious mind? They do play on the subconscious mind. Absolutely. Not try. They do play on your subconscious mind. They do a lot of things to play on your subconscious mind. Absolutely. That's why you start thinking about them. You see them one time and all of a sudden you're thinking about them all the time. They've already played on your subconscious mind. Things that they do, things that they say. They use all five senses to pull you in. Smell, taste, touch. take you by and create memories so that whenever you have triggers, so yes, they absolutely play on your subconscious memory. They know what they're doing. They know the game. They may not be able to put like psychological terms to it, but they know exactly what they're doing. My narc lived with a rich guy. Okay. It's hard. I believe it. I believe it. Hey, Jetta. Happy New Year to you, too. Oh, missed it. Okay. How to trust people after all this takes time. Takes time. When people break your trust like this, it takes time to build trust up. You always have to, walk around with your guards. People have to earn your trust. You don't just give your trust to people. People have to earn your trust. Peace Cobbler said, I've been through a long dysfunctional life, always wondering. I now know and I love my boundaries. Absolutely. And you know what, Peace Cobbler? A lot of times when you put up boundaries, people try to make you feel bad about your boundaries. Whether it's mother, father, family, sister, brothers, friends, when they're so accustomed to running over you or doing things and running over your boundaries, when you put up boundaries, all of a sudden, a lot of times you'll find out people are talking about you. What's wrong with him? What's wrong with her? Oh, so now you've done this. Oh, so now you're acting that way. Or you act like you don't know who. No, because a lot of times people cannot handle strength. People cannot handle recovery. People much rather you be weak or you be hurt or you be injured or you be ill, because they want to have power and control and they want to run over you. Once you put your boundaries up, a lot of times people want to make you feel bad about putting up boundaries. Don't ever feel bad about putting up boundaries. Don't ever feel bad about putting up. Keep your boundaries up and say no. Absolutely. No is sometimes a very hard thing for a lot of people to say when you've been in this type of relationship with someone. And it's hard to say to other people because you're afraid to hurt the person. You don't want to be like that narcissist, but no will help somebody. You know what I mean? No, practice it sometimes. Just say no without explaining yourself. Because a lot of times you say no and then you try to go explain yourself. Viviana said, Dr. Carmen, I went to therapy and my therapist made sessions with both of us. I was sicker and sicker and she never told me this was abuse. I couldn't recognize it yet until I left the denial. You know what? A therapist is supposed to be able to, not everybody is trained. A lot of times therapists are not trained in domestic violence. They go by what they've learned on an academic level. And a lot of times they don't pick up on it. You guys are learning a lot, so you're more sensitive to this type of abuse. You pick up on behaviors, but if you didn't know, when you did not know, you didn't pick up on people abusing, misusing, or power and control. And so a lot of times when you go into therapy, a lot of therapists are not trained on these type of topics. They're not trained on this type of abuse. So they don't know, because remember, a narcissist is a charismatic. A lot of times they're very charismatic and they're very, they appear to be very compliant, and so if they know how to manipulate you, that that they know how to manipulate a therapist, and a therapist has to have a keen eye and pay attention to certain things that are being said. Certain things, a lot of times you find out that the narcissist complains a lot about the behavior of the other person. A lot of times, you say something about them, they'll agree with you up to a certain point. And when you're trying to show them, how do you play into this, after a while, they get tired of being, but because they want you to change that person. We have to change that person. But a lot of times therapists do miss it, forgive us. A lot of times, therapists will miss it if they're not paying attention, don't know what they're looking at. How do you screen a therapist for both DV and grievance? Ask them questions. There are some people that want to talk to me, like when I set up appointments with people, a lot of times, like the first session, I'll open that session up so they can ask me whatever question they want to ask me. Are you trained to do this? What are your credentials? What are your experiences? Or a lot of times, the clients come off of YouTube and Facebook. So they know I do know what I'm talking about. But a lot of times, you have the right, when you make an appointment with a therapist, to ask you screen the therapist 10 minutes. Okay. But you have the right to ask, us therapists questions too. What are your credentials? What are you trained in? What do you understand abuse? What type of abuse do you deal with? Or, you ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And, a therapist should not be offended if you decide, I don't think we're a good fit, because the therapist has a right to say the same thing to you. I don't think we're going to be a good fit. A therapist has the right to fire you, and they have the right to make a determination. I don't think we're going to be a good fit. I don't think we're a good fit. You know, my brother's has got a boundaries book. Good. Absolutely good. Irma said, I have a friend whose husband was spotted by the counselor as a narc. See? Sometimes it just comes out. Arlene said, Brenda, isn't that ridiculous? Like you're in the Twilight Zone. Oh, I missed that conversation. I'm sorry. No Mud says, why does narc father always make me to be a problem whenever he gets a new woman in his life? Is this triangulation between me and the new woman? Absolutely. Absolutely. You're always going to be the problem. You're going to be the problem. He's going to make the new woman think that you're chasing behind him. He's going to make the new woman think that there's an issue, that you're abusing the kids, you're misusing the kids. You know, they'll create situations that are not happening. For example, you know, they're calling the kid and is everything okay? Is everything all right? And you're thinking like, ain't nothing wrong with him. You're causing a problem. So absolutely, they're always going to make you look like the bad guy. And that, you know, yes. And a lot of times they don't mind you triangulate. They want to triangulate the two of you because of the fact that they don't mind you fighting over each other. You know, a lot of times they're the flying monkeys. They'll do the fighting for them. Jules Verne say, you think you are damaged, you're so strong. You think you're damaged, you're so strong. Who's damaged? Okay, I missed that conversation. Forgive me. Raise your hand if you're sure and don't answer no questions. And whenever they ask you a question, ask them back. You don't want to get into a psychological game with them like that. You'll drive yourself crazy. They know how to gaslight. Trust me. You don't want to get into a game. Don't play a game with the narcissist. Don't let them pull you into the chess game with them. You know, you don't want to play the game with them. Don't play the game with them. You better than that. You know, and I'm not saying that you're better and you cocky and you're arrogant, but you're better than that. Don't lower yourself to their standard. Don't do it. Don't lower themselves and don't play the game with them. You're better than that. And you don't have the time to play this game because they'll play this game, psychological warfare, yep. They'll play this game until you get tired. They play to win. And so when you stop playing the game, they'll never stop playing the game with you until they win. And you're like, oh my God, are you serious? Oops. Are there signs the behavior might become violent? Oh, yeah. 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 I'm trying to think of some signs. Can fetishes lead to narcissistic behavior towards your mate? Not that I know of. Some of y'all got some old freaky fetishes. That don't make you a narcissist. I just want to beat them like a mashed potato. Hey, Heavy Metal, how are you? We have ties for the next 2 years I can't get out of. Sorry about that. Yeah, you wasted enough time. Absolutely. Wasted enough time. You said, what is my opinion about? Is it possible to get type 1 diabetes at a young age due to narc parents? Not that I know of. Not that I know of. That's probably genetic or your food. My mother would answer questions that were directed at me, answer the question, then say to me, right, Don? Not wanting conflict, I say, yes, ma'am. Yep, see? They'll give you the answer to the question that they're answering to tell you. That's how some narcissistic parents are. They'll ask a question and they'll answer their question for you. They're telling you what to say. Sometimes that's exactly what the narcissist does in the relationship period. Ask a question and then tell you what the answer is. And in order for you not to argue, just agree with them. And then they'll go with whatever you say. Then sometimes they'll hold it against you. But this is what she said. This is exactly what she said. And sometimes in the court of law, this is what she said or this is what he said. I really thank you for the knowledge. But as a whole, they are taking over. Okay, I missed that. Okay, it could be worse. We could be them. They live in their own hell every day, 24/7. Absolutely. Is there such thing as a spousal rape? Absolutely. I did a video, and I can't recall what the video was. But I believe in all 50 states, or maybe -1, spousal rape is illegal. 5 minutes? Okay. But spousal rape is illegal. Marital rape is illegal and can be prosecuted in the court of law. Go look it up in your state and look up the laws in the state. You could talk to a domestic violence counselor or advocate. But I believe in all 50 states, it's all 50 states, according to the law, and I did make a video and I added that in the video, that it is illegal and it can be prosecuted under the law. When I lived with him, it was an upside down world. That's exactly in Canada too. In Canada too. But that's exactly what being in a relationship with a narcissist is. You live upside down and backwards. Everything that is right is wrong. Everything that is good is bad. Everything that is beautiful, they take and make it horrible. You know, everything that sounds normal, they twist it and make it sound awful. You know, they abuse you. They abuse your children. They confuse you. They confuse the children. Social media is a big part of narcissism. Yup. Yes, they make you hurt physically and mentally and financially. Yup. I'm glad for your videos. Research your self-care from me. Oh, that's good. Thank you so much. Why does it seem that those that have narcs in our lives, whether male or female, they all seem like the exact same person? It's like they're clones pertaining to their personality. So surreal. Susanna, let me answer that question like this. And I've answered this question to someone before. You know, in the world of psychology, you know, sometimes people get offended at things you say, but, you know, I keep it real. But in the world of psychology, if you look, for example, there are some people here that have children or family members that are autistic. You have the low end of the autistic spectrum, and then you have the high end of the autistic spectrum, which was formerly called what was it called? Aspergers. You know, Aspergers, very functional, can get jobs, very highly functioning individuals, but that you know that they have autism. They're not able to connect with people. You're very awkward, you know, and on the lower spectrum, they all kind of have the same symptoms. Well, they have the same symptoms. Different people, same symptomology. Now, look at individuals that have Down syndrome, for example. If you look at people with Down syndrome, you can just go ahead and test me what I say this. Look, just go into Google one day. If you get off the here, just go into Google and put Down syndrome, and then hit images in Google, and then look at the facial features of those that have Down syndrome. They all have the exact same facial features, whether they're Asian, African American, African, Native American, Indian. If you look at them, they all have the exact same facial features. If you look at people and talk to people or have family members that have schizophrenia, they all, excuse me, they all have the same theme in their conversation. Just be real, Telsha, can you put my email back up on YouTube? Thank you. But if you look at those or talk to those that have like schizophrenia, a lot of the conversations are very similar. A lot of the conversation is thought broadcasting. You know, they talk a lot about radio wave frequencies. They talk a lot about you know, things that they see. That some of them feel like that they are on a special mission for God to do this and to do that. Those that have let me see, schizoaffective disorder. A lot of them have, you know, so the diagnosis, when you talk about symptomology, narcissistic personality disorder has they have 9 symptoms. And out of the 9, I think if you have 5 of them, you are diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. So they all have, if you listen to everybody on here, all of us can say the same thing. This individual that I was with had all these symptoms or have these very symptoms, and they act very similar. Different lifestyles, different economic statuses, whether LBGT community, heterosexual community, different languages, different countries. We have people on here from Austria, Canada, UK, Brazil, where else? Holland, Netherlands, Germany, Mexico. We have people from all over the place on here, but everybody has all 9. But see, everybody says the same thing. You could pick out all the symptoms. And so the reason why they all seem like all of us dated the same person is because all of them have the exact same symptoms. You know, when you talk about major depressive disorder, what are some of the features? You know, sad, depressed, crying, unable, no energy, low energy. Some people don't show it that way. Thank you, Miss Irma. But a lot of them don't show it that way, you know, but you can pick out the symptoms. And so the reason why we seem to be talking about the same person, but you're talking about the person that has the same symptoms. You know, they have the exact same symptoms. Different people, different economic statuses, different races, languages, lifestyle, genders, doesn't matter. They all have the same symptoms. Same symptoms. Underwent similar experience but could not prove, but your videos bring some light to the dark. See? Thank you so much. Exactly. Let's see here. Luba said, what about when they speak in the third person about themselves? Not saying me or I, but rather saying their name. For example, they could say, John does not do like that. You can tell something is wrong. There are some people that speak in third person. It's kind of awkward. It's almost like they're living outside of themselves. So there's some, yeah, hoarding is a characteristics. Okay, hoarding is a characteristic and cannot tell them anything. Hoarding is a sign of trauma. So you got to remember, but in the third person, let you know that something is going on, something is not right. That goes beyond narcissism. Hoarding is a totally different, remember, you got narcissists that have other mental health illnesses. Hoarding, which is also an anxiety disorder, which is also usually rooted in trauma. Dissociation. You know, sometimes I think someone asked, is it possible? Well, they were asking if narcissistic, the behaviors and the personas that they put, is that multiple personality or dissociative disorder. Some of them can have dissociative disorder, but when you're dealing with dissociative disorder, each one of those personalities has their own personality, meaning that some of those personalities do not have narcissistic personality disorder. And so you have to remember, with a narcissist purposely changes when they meet new supply to blend in and mirror that new supply. What about psychosis? Yeah, they can have psychosis. They can have schizophrenia too. You know, yeah, they can have psychotic episodes and psychosis. Absolutely. What are schizoid traits? The narcissist has those traits along with narcs. Look up schizophrenia. Schizoid traits is very similar. Paranoia, you know, hearing voices, command voices. Oh gosh. Hallucinations, which include olfactory, meaning smell, visual hallucinations, tactile hallucinations, meaning touch, different type. Like a lot of times when they have like olfactory, they may smell smoke, they may smell sulfur, you know, and it lets you know that sometimes also okay, time's up. Okay. But a lot of times also, give me 5 more minutes. But a lot of times also, it could also be traumatic brain injury. So sometimes those symptoms are also traumatic brain injury. And so a lot of times, even when I'm doing diagnosis, if I notice there are some psychotic features, before I give them a diagnosis, you know, of schizophrenia, or because you also have major depressive disorder with psychotic features, mood congruent, meaning when the mood gets really, really low, they begin to hallucinate, meaning hearing voices, command voices, voices to tell them to kill themselves. Or you could be dealing with schizophrenia, you could bipolar disorder, you know. But what I really do is I also tell them to go back to their doctor for them to do like a neurological or cognitive, with a cognitive specialist or a cognitive psychologist, you know, to determine whether or not they have a traumatic brain injury. So I do also assess to see whether there has been any head injuries, where they lost consciousness, where they got dizzy, you know, have blurred vision. So sometimes a brain injury will cause a person to have psychotic episodes too, or hallucinations. So brain injury, certain injuries to the frontal lobe can cause problems with hallucinations or smell, or, you know, sensory problems. So sometimes that can also be traumatic brain, TBI. How do you deprogram a child who is starting to show signs of narc? How can you make the courts aware of a child who needs to stay away from a toxic parent? You really have to get to a, because I don't specialize in children, you have to get to a, try to get like to a forensic psychologist, or get to a person that specializes in children and child abuse. Talk to domestic violence advocates or domestic violence counselors for age appropriate, you know, for your children of that age, and make sure they document really well as well, in case you have to use that in court. Smells do neti pots. Alrighty. Thank you so much. Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection. That is my book. So those of you that are interested, I'm going to grab the book, okay? Give me a minute. I'm going to grab the book. So this is my book. It is Unmasking the Illusion of Perfection. And it is narcissist abuse, abused by the esteemed. And so you can find this on Barnes and Noble. You can find this on Amazon. You know, if it's a quick read, so it's not that hard. It's a quick read. It is a Christian book for those of you that are not Christian. But it provides you with encouragement, biblical encouragement, but take the principle out of it. Take the principle out of this book. You will find your story. These are real stories about real people, how they were abused, how they were groomed, how their children were abused, how they escaped, you know, the thoughts that was, hey, Miss Clara, thank you so much. I must get. But it talks about real people, you know, the trauma that they've been through, how their children ended up getting abused, how they got away, some of the problems they were running through in their thought process, meaning they had thoughts of homicide, thoughts of suicide, you know, how the parents, you know, narcissistic parents groomed them and made them, you know, almost like these vulnerable victims to another narcissist, you know, but these are real stories about real people. And so make sure you get the book. You can find yourself in this book. Get it to give to someone. You never know who around you is going through narcissist abuse. Sometimes you have no idea who's going through narcissist abuse. Sorry. You're getting the book. Thank you so much, Bruce. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Who's that? That was Miss Chrisula. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You bought 2 books to share. Thank you, Miss Colleen. I appreciate you. Thank you, Miss Melissa. Thank you, man. You got the book? Thank you, Miss Ruby. I appreciate it. I'll be working on my 2nd book this year. Thank you, Miss Brenda. It's available on Kindle. Yes, it is available on Kindle. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We have our own tribe, but I don't think the narc have their own tribe. That's the good thing. Yeah, those are wild donkeys. They just out there. They abuse narcs, and narcs abuse each other too. All right. Let me go on and take care of him real quicker. There we go. He said, thank you. I just smiled through the loneliness, and now I'm so much quieter. That's all right. I'm not religious, but the book hits home for me. Let's make this book a #1 seller. Oh, thank you, New Dawn Arises. I appreciate you so much. I really do. Did y'all know I did not know New Dawn Arises was a guy? All this time I thought he was a girl, and he's a guy. Thank you. It's my brother. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, sir. You are appreciated. To all the men that are on here, I want you to know that you are appreciated. The women in this tribe respect you. We honor you, and we thank you so much. 100% sister. Wait a minute, New Dawn, I thought you were a dude. I thought you said you were a guy. Okay, come back around. Come back and make a comment. But I do want that every king on here, I want you to know that we respect you, we honor you, and I had an awesome opportunity to speak to one of the kings in the UK, and he told me to let you guys know that #1, oh, you calling me sister? Oh, I was gonna say, wait a minute, I know what you told me. Don't try to break the clock, Telsha. Don't try to get like your sister, just be real. Yes, New Dawn Arises is actually a guy. All this time I thought he was a girl until he told me last week he was a guy. And Stevie Bananas, you know, thank you so much. Let me tell you guys something. I am so appreciative because men don't have to be on this channel, because a lot of times when you're dealing with narcissist abuse, a lot of times you hear it from the female perspective, you know, but I want you to know that one of the brothers from UK, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I had the pleasure and the honor of speaking to him. And he told me that he would allow me to tell you guys, #1, he was a bodyguard for a few famous people in Great Britain for their families. He also is he was a bodyguard for some famous people in Great Britain, their families. He also was a bouncer and a construction worker. And he wanted me to tell you this. He said that that Gentlemen, he wants you to know that it really, really happens. He's a manly man. He's a guy. He's a dude. You know, he's a strong man. He says, but he wanted you guys to know, and he wanted me to make sure to tell you guys that this happens to men too. He said his mind is baffled. He said, but it happens to men too. And the same thing that the women go through, the confusion. I can't believe this happened. But yes, he says yeah, it was embarrassing at the beginning, but then I found my voice. Thank you so much for admitting that too. That's the same thing that he said, you know, just the fact that he couldn't believe that this was happening to him. And he kept running into narcissists. And he's a really nice guy. He's a really, really nice guy. And so I think what happened, because he's a natural protector, those narcissist women really took advantage of that and abused him. Son had 4 narc girlfriends, see? But absolutely, it happens to men just like it happens to women. And so a lot of time, thank you so much, Ray. But a lot of times the stories that we tell about the abuse that we go through, if you flip it around, men can tell you the same story, and women can be vicious. Women can be petty and vicious, and they will use their femininity. They will use that femininity. Oh my God, Brett Butler. But they'll use that femininity to provoke people into believing that this mean, cruel, non-narcissistic man is abusing and hurting them, especially if you ignore them. Especially if you put up boundaries and you tell them no, then all of a sudden they're beating themselves with a grapefruit, you know, and come around with with black eyes. I see you. I know my time is up. I was talking to my peoples. But yes, it happens to men just like it happens to women. And so never underestimate when you share the book with people. You know, if you share the book with people, you will be surprised how many men and women go through this. Men go through it just as much. And most of the times we look at men because they're strong, they're big, they're protectors. There's a possible way that you can let a girl abuse you. It can happen. Yes, it can. Absolutely. And I really want to give my sincerest gratitude to the kings that actually come on here to encourage the women. Let me tell you something. Never has New Dawn Arises, Stevie Bananas, or any of the men that have been here, Mr. Mark Summers, a lot of the men that have been here, they have never been disrespectful to not one woman on here. They've never been disrespectful. They've never made it a woman bashing thing. And a lot of you women have never made it a man bashing thing. And I really respect all of you, because this is the type of tribe you need when you're coming out of recovery. You know, when you're coming and you're going into recovery. And all of you have been so respectful for it to each other, and you know, and have really honored these men. You know, we have honored these men. We have honored these men and made them feel family. We are family in here, and I thank you guys so much. You guys are an awesome group. You're a woman. But you guys are an awesome group of people, and I truly appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for being a part of the tribe and being here. And thank you, men, so much, because a lot of times you guys come on here and you balance stuff out. You know, when there are other men that come on here and they're just totally rude and disrespectful, you guys usually interject and have something to say to protect the ladies. And I really appreciate, we need the strength of the men on this YouTube channel and on this Facebook page. And so we love the strength of you men, and we love the men. We love the men from our hearts, meaning that you are our brothers, and we embrace you, and we're going to protect you as well. And we thank you guys so much for being here with us. And so my time is up. Telsha and Just Be Real over here doing cartwheels and kicking the cameras, and I don't know if they think they Bruce Lee, and chopping and sending knives and clocks and stuff. So I got it. I know my time is up. And so you guys, so the schedule next week starts all over again. So I'm back at work. I have some time. I know they're doing cartwheels, Solo. They're doing cartwheels over here. Get off. But so I'm going back on my regular schedule. I'm going back to work. Hey, Iman, beautiful name. But thank you so much. I love you guys too. So I know they over here throwing clocks at me and stuff, kicking down my computers. New Dawn says, although I've been through a lot, I know women are the first teachers. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you saying that. That is really powerful. And thank you so much. Not every woman is a bad woman, and not every man is a bad man. Y'all remember that. We just got into the wrong relationships. Okay. But thank you guys so much. I'm going back on my regular schedule. I took my time off. I'm rested. I feel good. I'm ready for the 2020. We're walking in like a boss. Tell Shaw to thump you. Well, thank you, Miss Tasha. Now you chiming all in. I'm leaving. I'm getting off. All right, you guys. Now everybody, all the moderators are telling me to get off. Okay, so I'm getting ready to get off now. 2020, we walking in 2020 like bosses. We're getting ready to do this. We're going to do the recovery. Pull in as many people as you can on this channel to get them help. You know, go back and what is it when you pay forward? Pay forward. You know, make somebody else. Claire, you say goodnight, First Sergeant. Hey, who? Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. So I'm ready to get off. I'm ready to go sleep. So thank you guys for being here. You guys wait for Tuesday. I'll be back on Tuesday. And I am so thankful. Yep, 2020 vision. Absolutely. I was just saying that today when I was in the car. 2020 vision and hindsight was 2020. But we're going forward with 2020 vision. So you guys have a good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I'll be back on Tuesday. I don't think I have a full schedule on Tuesday, so I'm working my clientele back up. So those of you that have my email address, if you're interested in coaching, I have a few more slots left. Thank you guys so much. Even if you want to do just a one session, let me know, and I'm going to email you back. For those that said you emailed me, I'm not sure if I responded or not. I thought I did. Most people that have asked about coaching, I've responded back. But thank you guys. You guys have a wonderful night. Thank you to my moderators. Thank you so much for keeping me on point and getting me off. Thank you guys. Thank you, Miss Tracy. Hopefully I answered your question. You guys have a wonderful evening, okay? And go be great.